Framework for virtual mobile device honey clients. So welcome them.
So you can hear me? Got it, it's just the on button. So my claim to fame is that I taught Mike Wiegand, who was the UAV Predator talk earlier. And these are two of my other students at the Military Academy, Nate Grunswig and David Brasfield. And they're going to talk about HoneyM, which is a framework for virtual mobile honey clients. But just to reinforce it after Mike's presentation, if you don't know what's up there, it's actually a picture of the cells at Fort Leavenworth, where the prisoners go after they get in trouble. So none of the statements I make here are statements of the Military Academy, and none of them are on behalf of the United States government or its agencies.
Okay, so we all have our mobile devices, I mean smartphones, everything, and you store a lot of information on those nowadays. I mean, everything about your Facebook account to who you've been with the night before, I mean, who you were talking to, say, I mean, the ex-girlfriend of Mike, who he is monitoring with the UAV. Well, and we don't give these things any protection at all. I mean, we really don't have the basic protection that is now expected in normal computers. But, of course, it could be worse. Credit card systems. I mean, should we really be doing this on a mobile phone? I mean, the main design constraint is to keep the Bluetooth radio on there under $2. And so, I mean, say when you rely on this exclusively, you might have some issues. I mean, when there's a big release, maybe, if you decide to jam the entire wireless spectrum, could be some issues there. But I mean, there's other uses too. Like, next one we've got.
Okay, so the medical community is being helped out by wireless, heart rate monitors, respirators, general patient data. But should this stuff really rely on a framework built on low cost as opposed to security? What if this guy shows up? Wireless sniper rifle. Could he really denial of service an entire floor of nurses that are already overworked? Another modification for sniper rifles. An application for windage. Seems like a good idea at first. Here we have our sniper before L2 cap. Very, very well hidden, very difficult to see. Now there's the L2 cap echo request. Yes, I am right here. Thank you for asking.
And so there's a lot of devices out there, but no one really cares until their phone gets owned. And we've had that happen a couple times in the past, whether it be the blue bugging attacks from several years ago to Haffey's recent work where he exploited the iPhones via the SDP, or just device driver fuzzing, which is just the coolest thing in the entire world, that results in things like the Broadcom Wi-Fi driver attacks. When I see mobile devices, I see targets. These things, there's so many vectors or ways that you can attack them. And you can culminate those, you can put those together to make the attack even greater. These things rely on a quick rush to market, and they rely on being quickly subsidized and at a low cost. And it's unlikely my mother will ever update her firmware software on a phone once she gets it. And one thing we're not going to even talk about when we talk about mobile devices today, but netbooks. I mean, the goal is that these things cost less than $300, and they are always going to be connected. That just doesn't make sense. Right. But attacks are obvious. There's a whole bunch of intrusion detection work out there, signatures written. We know what attacks look like, so why would we ever want to learn more? I think we know what attacks look like on a single vector. We know what a Bluetooth STP attack looks like. We know what a Wi-Fi malformed packet looks like, or a DAuth. But we don't know what it looks like when you combine all of them. And we don't have systems that correlate those events together. So, mobile devices attacks are unique in the fact that you could essentially combine all the elements of the radio. You could discover the Wi-Fi MAC address passively of an iPhone. Once you know that that address is incremental of the Bluetooth radio, which is in a non-discoverable mode, you could send a malformed packet to it, and then you could read the text from last night of someone. Also, there's been so much work done on fuzzing and fuzzing multiple different radios. It makes really evil things possible. The systems don't even need to be connected to the network, and you can send them malformed SSID packets and watch them fall over. So here's the bottom line up front, or in the middle of our presentation. We really don't know what's out there. We want to find out what's out there, and so we kind of built a system to start collecting mobile device attacks. And the rest of this presentation is about that system and about how you could do it yourself. And so we took a lot of lessons from the wired community and started building honeypots for mobile devices. Right. As a matter of this, we have to treat everything as the device as a whole. We have to examine all the vectors for the attack. We have to be able to figure out that an attacker is jamming the 3G frequency in order to force us on Wi-Fi. We need to know that the Wi-Fi address has been discovered and Bluetooth fuzzing has begun, and then a vulnerability has been discovered. And we need to be able to correlate all those events together. And so what types of things do we need to listen to? All the following could be essential to making an attack. You could send a false GPS signal to get the time off, and then correlate that with, or make that work with another attack. You could jam 3G and force someone onto Wi-Fi. You could jam Wi-Fi and force someone onto 3G. So looking at mobile devices, we have to look at all the things that make them unique. Not just the radio communication vectors, but all the integrated browsers and applications and bundled software and third-party apps and homebrew apps. And homebrew apps are really awesome because there wasn't just a recent vulnerability in jailbroken iPhones where people left SSH on. So the things that make a Bluetooth radio unique: the registered OUI. It tells us not only who owns that device, but it may even tell us it's an iPhone, or it's an iPhone and its MAC address for its Wi-Fi radio is the following: the state of discoverability and what RF COM ports are open on it, and L2 CAP ports, and what service discoveries it's broadcasting. So we started recording all this stuff for different devices. The same with Wi-Fi. We know what registered OAIs are again, if it's an increment. There's been a lot of great work done on wireless fingerprinting by the Dartmouth folks. TCP fingerprints. We have a lot of great TCP fingerprints for mobile devices as well. They're built into systems like P0F and Queso and banner grabs to identify devices. And what the actual mobile browser HTTP user agent looks like. Okay. Apps introduce a whole new realm of problems in emulating mobile devices. I mean, and really a whole new realm. A realm that we can't even begin to keep up with. So how do we emulate all of this while still inviting attacks and logging? What we built was just a system like this, just off-the-shelf equipment, standard Artigo PC with some Bluetooth dongles and Wi-Fi dongles and GPS, and start reading all of that. All right. We used Python to glue a whole bunch of stuff together to make device signatures. And so there's a bunch of great tools out there. BT Audit will tell you the status, will interrogate the L2CAP and PSM channels for you and let you know what's open and what it looks like. And Nmap, we can obviously run Nmap against the device, and we can use SCP tool and the HCI tools to interrogate Bluetooth devices. The P0F database, which we'll talk a lot about later, is a great signature of all what TCP signatures are out there. And we can use it to create signatures of our mobile devices. And then HCI tools will give us the host controller information on a Bluetooth device. And so, being the Army officer I am, I glued everything together with a whole bunch of Python code. And then, to do traffic generation, there's a lot of great things out there. Scapy and PyBlueEz, and again, P0F does traffic generation first as well. And then logging is vital in this because we want to discover what's happening, what's being sent to those devices. And so tools like Wireshark and Kismet and TCP dump and spec tools and GPSD will all monitor different aspects of what we want to log. So our system works like this. For each device that's out there, we interrogate all of them and we build an XML profile. And it's just part of an XML profile that gets loaded up. Each different port that's out there, whether it be a TCP port or a UDP port or an RFCOM or PSM, we write specific scripts to do what that mobile device is doing in that state. And then those scripts also log all the activity. And then we also, after interrogating both the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth radios of the device, we flash all that stuff onto our radios, and then so it looks exactly like it. The DBT120 Bluetooth dongle is the dongle of choice. You can flash it with BCCD, and it will flash most of the Cambridge Silicon radios. The tool is written by Marcel Holtman and Adam Laurie. We can turn a Bluetooth radio into anything. We can turn it into a mobile phone. We can turn it into a netbook. Writing Bluetooth code with BluePy is so simple. And so I just wanted to flash it up there real quick. We can advertise a Bluetooth phone book completely and then begin logging any activity to that phone book. The Wi-Fi hardware, there's probably other USB dongles out there that do it really well. The dongle of choice that we used was the AirPCAP transmit. We didn't mind paying the Windows tax on it because some of the radios won't allow us to change the MAC OUI. And so we wanted to be able to change the MAC address OUI. And it supports traffic injection. The thing about this device is if you try to get it running under Linux, and I only tell you this because it ruined one afternoon for me, was that Compat Wireless will run as a driver on it, but in order to run as a driver, and it will run in userland, when you compile it, you just need to add the USB vendor ID to the source file. Scapy. It's so easy, even Army officers can write packet injection code. That was my best attempt at a joke. Okay, I tried really hard. I had that one in reserve. So Scapy is great because it supports all of the protocols we want to talk on. So when we want to pretend to be particular HTML traffic on TCP, we can tell Scapy exactly what we want. And it will work on both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and IP. It will build packets exactly how we tell them to build them at all different layers. And there's a world of great reference out there. If you want to write packet injection code, and Scapy's great for it. In fact, in the process of doing this work, I came across an entire TCP finite state machine written in Scapy by Adam Pridgeon over at the Cover of Night. Absolutely amazing. So if you want to generate a 802.11 wireless packet that's